nostalgic. Let me just put it that way. I'm not nostalgic about like the food in Nigeria or like, oh, I miss jollof rice or no, I don't.
So what would you say is one thing you miss from back home?
Nothing.
Hello everyone, my name is Bukola and I'm the host for the Job Series, and my guest is...
My name is Joseph. I am a PhD student here at Georgia Tech. My department is electrical and computer engineering.
Where are you from?
I'm from Nigeria, born and raised in Nigeria. So I came here.
Precise states.
I was born in Lagos State, but my parents were originally from Oyo State.
Okay. You're doing the research right now, right?
Yes. My research is focused on optics, and I like to explain it in a simple way, saying that we try to control light.
So you try to control light?
Yes. We try to understand it and then figure out how to control it. So there's light all around us.
Example?
I'll give you two different examples of what people like. There's the obvious lighting we see here, right?
That sounds like, how do
think
you
of this
control
as non-directional light, right? Like it's non-coherent or partially coherent, and it's not directional. On the other side, you could have coherent directional light, such as lasers.
Okay.
Right? But that's also like it's electromagnetic radiation. So when I say lights, I'm actually using that term loosely to mean like electromagnetic radiation, so be it directional or non-directional light. And so the idea is you can see things because the lights kind of you could think of it as maybe it's bouncing off objects. That's one crude way to think of it, right? And that's why you can see them. But if something is transparent, then you can't really see it in a conventional sense because it's transparent and it doesn't bounce back light towards your eyes, right? So we kind of realize that even if the light is not like bouncing back, like there is some effect that object has on the light. So even if it's transparent, it still has some effect on the light. So if we can understand the light, then we can use that to recreate the object that's there. So in a nutshell, we try to understand light such that we can then use it to see transparent stuff.
Is your research difficult? Is it ethical?
Is it difficult or is it ethical? Which one are you asking?
Is there a way you can answer both?
So we'll come back to the ethical part. For the difficult part, is my research difficult? I'm glad you asked. Let me put it this way. The different textbooks and stuff that people use for like their work and stuff that you have to read. Have you heard of Oppenheimer? Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
Oppenheimer,
yeah, the movie.
Yeah, there's a movie.
Yeah.
The bomb guy, right? The atomic bomb guy. And so Oppenheimer is known as the father of the atomic bomb.
Okay.
Oppenheimer had an advisor who was named Max Born. So Max Born is known as the father of quantum mechanics. Now, Max Born wrote a physics textbook. That's what I need to read to get good at my research. And so if the question is my research difficult? Well, I guess so.
Okay, let me turn this. Let me ask you this question: is PhD difficult?
In a sense, it's difficult up to a point. Once you understand yourself, you understand your research, you understand the language of your peers, then it's almost like the domino effect. Once you get that domino rolling, I don't think it's that difficult anymore.
Okay.
Like when you start, definitely, it's not even about the PhD. Almost anything is difficult when you start. If you're just starting your master's or even if you're an undergrad, once you just start, it's going to be difficult. But for PhD specifically, I think what makes it difficult or what made it difficult for me was it felt like I got into a space and I couldn't understand anything that was going on. because it felt like they were all speaking different languages. But really, it was so much about notations and just understanding what people meant than the actual physics itself. And so the difficulty wasn't in the physics, it was in the notations. And so once I found like different ways to find simpler explanations of the same thing, like I learned a lot from YouTube. So YouTube was the place I went to kind of understand the language of the area. And then once I understood the language of the area, okay, so this is what the nabla means. This is when they use the nabla. Nabla is like this upside down like triangles that people use to represent like a derivative. But that's by the way. Once you understand the language of physics and what people mean, and then you can go back to research papers and understand what they're kind of saying. And you realize that, okay, yeah, it's not so different from what you've done before. Like you did polynomials in high school, right? Polynomials, linear algebra, like those things. And now they're doing the same thing, but like using different notations. So it's still the same linear algebra. You're still working with polynomials, but now you say things like tensors, and you want to almost freak out just because you're like, what the hell are tensors? But like just kind of, you need to understand what the language that they are talking about. So,
and you had to learn that from YouTube.
Yes, a lot of my learning was from YouTube. When I first started, now I use textbooks.
So you have family back home?
Yes, I do.
Do you stay connected often, or how do you manage it?
Let's see. That's an important question because I feel like I am in this space where I'm not the best at, say, keeping up like networking in general because I work all the time. Like I'm always it's not an excuse. And YouTube, this is not an excuse. You should check up on your friends. But like I have kind of found myself in this circle where I'm working most of the time. And so because I'm working most of the time, it's difficult to kind of keep up with people back home.
Okay.
But I try.
Okay,
Whenever I get the chance.
So you said it's not an excuse from your end. So do they check up on you?
I mean, they do. But
Or is there like, has there been a loss of connection ever since you got here?
a lot of my friends are here. Maybe I should start with that.
Okay.
A lot of my friends are here, but not all of them. So the ones that are back home, we sort of have this agreement, in hair quotes, we sort of have this agreement that, whenever we check up on ourselves, we check up on ourselves. It doesn't mean there is any, like, the connections have been lost or anything like that.
Okay.
But I would say we don't like call to check up on each other every weekend or something. We don't do that. But whenever we do call to check up, then we can talk for hours and just fill ourselves in on everything that has happened at home to that point.
Okay.
Right, but
Food.
oh,
Wait, just
Oh.
calm down. Food. I know you can actually get some of the food that they prepare back home. You can get them here. But do you think it's the same thing?
this is I have zero expertise here because
It's just
I don't. So for a lot of people, let me start with that. For a lot of people, when you talk about like homemade food, like they feel nostalgic and like this is one of the things they miss about like their own country, Nigeria. For in my case, for me, I don't have that experience because while I was in Nigeria, I never used to eat a lot of the homemade dishes.
So what do you eat?
Regular basic stuff.
Regular is like
Rice,
that's home based. That's home based dishes
beans.
too.
Oh no, like we are like so like different tribes have different.
Oh yeah, I mean those
dishes.
are more like traditional food.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I
like
never used to eat any of those.
swallows.
dishes. I never used to eat swallow.
Wow.
Like,
So even with the rice, like the grains, when you get them here and like
I'm not particular about food. I often say to people that I eat to survive. I don't eat to
you don't
like.
care necessarily.
No, I genuinely don't care.
So do you eat out a lot?
No,
No.
almost never.
Do you know how to cook?
No. Again, I don't eat for enjoyment or anything like that. I eat to survive. And so as long as what I'm eating is nutritious, like, and to be fair, I still need supplements because I don't think I get enough nutrition from the food I eat. But I'm not nostalgic. Let me just put it that way. I'm not nostalgic about like the food in Nigeria or like, oh, I miss jollof rice or no, I don't.
So, what would you say is one thing you miss from back home?
Nothing. So there is this thing where international students come here and feel like they're not good enough, right? Or maybe feel this imposter syndrome, right? Where they feel like, oh, everybody else is smarter than me. And so is it actually true? Is it true that, say, white people or like people that were born here are somehow inherently smarter than other people? Or is the reverse true? Because there's also like some sentiments where some people feel like maybe international students are kind of more driven. And so like we kind of work more.
Okay.
You can think of maybe like the Asian community where they already have this stigma where people say like, oh, they work all the time. And so naturally you see like an Asian and you expect them to be good at maths.
Yes.
You kind of expect them to be very intelligent just because they're Asians.
Yeah.
And so
Indians
for me,
too. Yeah.
I mean, yes,
Yeah,
to a
they're all
large
Asians,
extent, Indians to like Asians in general. I mean, are Indians Asians, I think. I think they are.
I want to believe they are like they're like in that aspect, right? They're in that aspect of like the Asian region.
My view on it is intelligence is subjective in a sense. Like broadly speaking, I know people can argue that you can use SAT scores and you can take standardized tests to test for intelligence and all of that. But for me, I feel very strongly that it's so much than what you can cram and then pour out when asked. Right? Intelligence is way more than that. In fact, I like to use this analogy where I say, if you see somebody that they kind of heal very easily. So like say someone, maybe they fall and then they break their arm and their body kind of heals very quickly. I would say like their body is acting intelligently in the sense that the body knows what to do to fix up itself. That's some form of intelligence. Like there is, if you look at like the range of like the duration it takes for babies to start walking.
Yeah.
Right. People would say, 7 to 18 months, for example. And then for me, I would say the babies that can figure out what to do and can like, not just brain now, but like everything else is working together to actually perform optimally. That's some form of intelligence for me that people don't generally talk about. Maybe there is a better word for that. But for me, I kind of just count it all as intelligence. So for me, intelligence is so much more than what like your brain can do, like your memory, right? It's more of your problem solving capacity, but not just in terms of like physics or mathematics or it's being able to read an emotion from somebody, right? It's knowing when to speak and when to be quiet. Right? It's knowing when to act. It's knowing how to act.
Okay.
Right?
What was your experience? What was your experience coming down here for like applying?
For me, it was interesting because the first year I applied, I got like admitted to Georgia Tech, but
Did you apply to Georgia Tech?
Oh no! So I applied to 5 schools.
Did you have to be strategic about what school you applied to?
I was, but looking back, I don't know how much of a difference that made. And so, like, there's this thing people say, they'll say, like, oh, pick like top schools and then pick some middle schools and then some low schools and stuff. And the interesting thing is, Georgia Tech was part of my top schools. I wake up every day and I still can't believe I'm in Georgia Tech. Because it's number 4 in the world in ECE, like electrical and computer engineering.
Okay.
And so like it's one of the best schools in the world
For
for electrical and computer
and
engineering.
computer engineering.
Yes. I mean, even in the world period, it's still one of the best schools in the world.
Is that accurate?
Yes, it is. I think they're for like public schools in the US, they are top 15 public schools in the US. And in the world, I think they are top 100. Top 100 like
They are
public
top
schools
15
in the
in
US
US.
and top 100 in the world.
Okay.
That I'm sure of. I just don't know exactly where the numbers now fall in. So for me, that was important. But the interesting thing was, I didn't get admitted by any of the other schools. So my middle schools, my low schools, all declined and like rejected me. But then I got admitted by Georgia Tech, which was in like my top school category. I wasn't even expecting them to get back to me.
Yeah.
And so the first year, they gave me admission, but there was no funding. So I applied for masters. And with masters, there's no guarantee of funding, right? But like if you apply for a PhD, you kind of get funding. And the reason why I applied for masters was because I felt like my GRE score wasn't good enough. And so I felt like, yeah, maybe I should just apply for something smaller than a PhD. But I was so wrong. I was so wrong because I feel like I could have gotten a PhD if I had applied for it, but I didn't. And then the next year, I remember interestingly, like after they gave me admission and I had to decline the admission, I remember sending an email to them.
You declined an admission from Georgia Tech?
Yes, I declined the admission from Georgia Tech.
Oh, was that for the master's one?
Yeah, for the master's.
Okay.
For the master's admission, because I didn't have the money to come and fund it myself. So I had to decline the admission because they kept asking so usually they give you to like April 15th, but then they keep like sending you emails like, we need to know if you're going to accept this. So we know if we need to give it to somebody else.
Okay.
So I remember having to send them an email, and then in the email I said to them, unfortunately we will not be able to accept this admission because I wasn't able to secure funding, but I'm going to retake my GRE. I'm going to get a better GRE score. I'm going to be back next year.
That's what you told them?
Yeah, that's what I told them.
That's what you told them?
And I'm going to be back next year.
That's impressive.
Applying for a PhD.
That's impressive.
And then the next year, when I applied, I got like the admission to PhD, and here I am.
But was that with a better GRE?
Oh yeah, it was with a better GRE score.
Okay, so you had to work harder for a year.
Oh, definitely. My first GRE score was terrible. My verbal was 149. So that's 149 out of 170. And then my quant wasn't bad.
149 out of 170.
Yes. In GRE world, that's bad. So the cutoff, like, because they post like minimum scores. They don't really follow it, but like they post it. The minimum was, I think, 149. So basically, I was literally scraping the barrel. And so I had to, that was bad. My quant wasn't that bad. I forget what exactly it was. I think it was 164. 164 out of 170. But the next year I applied, I then got 159 out of 170 for my verbal.
Okay.
And I think 167 out of 170 for my quant.
Okay, so because I know some schools. Okay, maybe I might be wrong though. I might be wrong because I know some schools nowadays they don't necessarily require GRE.
Oh, a lot of schools now, actually, including Georgia Tech.
Requires it.
Oh no, they don't require.
Oh, they don't require, even if you're coming from outside, like you're an international student.
So this is post-pandemic. This is post-COVID. So I guess something changed around that COVID period.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure exactly what it was, but after that COVID period, a lot of schools stopped requiring like standardized testing. So not just GRE, like SATs also.
Okay.
Schools stopped requiring that.
Okay.
So
what was used to replace the GRE?
I mean, it has always been an holistic process, right? That's what they tell you. And so like your letters of recommendation, you have the essays, you also have like your transcripts, so like your undergraduate transcripts. And all of that, they kind of like consider everything altogether and then use that to come up with a decision. And so for me, I feel like nothing has changed so much. Like at best, the GRE score would have been used to kind of maybe reduce the candidates that they're going to seriously consider. And now they're probably just having to consider maybe a little bit more than usual. But I think the process in general is still like what can you say about yourself, like your essays, what can your recommenders say about you, right? That's like a letter of recommendation. And of course, you need to have like a good track record.
Okay. Once you were approved for like the second
So
the second
year,
admission, yes.
yeah.
So did you have to like secure some particular amount of funding before?
So the second year, I applied for a PhD in ECE, and the PhD came with full funding.
So even the fact that it comes with full funding, you don't necessarily have to like secure any type of.
I mean, you still need some money to like run some processes like your visa, your immigration, like your plane ticket, and all of that. But
okay, those are like the minor thing. Like those are like. I mean, after all that, do you still need to like secure some type of funding just to sponsor yourself here?
Oh no.
Okay, so you like get those stuff through the scholarship.
If you're doing a PhD and you're being funded, I was a teaching assistant, and so as a teaching assistant, like they pay your entire tuition, and they also give you like a stipend.
Okay.
That helps with your living expenses. It's usually enough to cover basic living expenses.
Okay. So do you get to like network a lot with other students or like make friends with other students? I mean, I understand that you're an introvert, you like to be by yourself, but like once in a while.
Fair enough.
Or do you think it's difficult?
It's a bit tricky because it's one thing to say it's difficult, and it's one other thing to say you don't like doing it. So something can be easy, but you still don't like doing it, and something can be difficult, but like the difficulty excites you, right? I think I am in the category where I'm not bad at it. Like if I need to do it, I will do it. Okay. Do I always put myself in a place where I have to do it? Nah.
Okay.
But like I've had like a couple of friends over the years, from like research groups, from classes, like just being in the same like class projects with people. Like you sort of have to like make friends there, right? You really have interest, otherwise like you fail the course. And so like there's all of that, but there's also like your apartment, like people you're sharing your apartment with. Like you could get friends from there also, and when they bring people over, so even if you are the introverts, right, you are always at home. Where do you socialize? I don't think we're going to be that different.
No, we are actually that different because, okay, so me socializing, I'm frequently, not very frequent. I mean, I don't socialize a lot, but then when I do, no, I'm not an introvert. I'm not an introvert, but when I do have the opportunity to go out, like hang out with friends and stuff, I do take it. But if I don't, then I'm fine being indoor by myself.
You hear people telling me like, "No, how can you be an introvert? Like that's a lie. You're lying. There's no way you can be an introvert. Like you talk too much. You talk too much to be an introvert. Oh, like, you're so good.
You talk too much.
Fair enough.
Okay, last question. As an international student that seek out to like still try to sustain yourself on like dishes from Nigeria, and you probably need like food stuff that were probably brought from Nigeria. Is it expensive?
Crazy
getting
expensive.
Food stuff, Nigerian food stuff.
Crazy expensive. Trust me. So let me put it this way. For me, I am not very picky with food. So I'm kind of lucky in that I don't have to like spend so much money on some of the like really expensive things. But like the ones that, because you still have to eat, right?
Yeah, you still have to eat, yeah.
So the ones that I kind of have to buy like beans. I like like the beans that grows in Nigeria. And so like when I try to buy that specific one, it costs literally one kidney.
One kidney, that's too much. If it costs one kidney, that's too much. No, you're exaggerating. No way. No way.
It is what it is.
It's not what you're telling me it is.
But yeah, it's expensive.
Okay. So finally, is there anything you want to put out there, like, for people?
So I'm going to try and reach out to maybe like the 1% of the 1% of people.
1% of the 1%.
There is this thing where you kind of maybe feel like you're not good enough. Maybe because you feel like you've tried and for some reason you're not getting that thing, or the class grades come out and you're always below average in class or something, or your research isn't going the way you want it to. I guess in that set of people now, like there's a group of people that were very good before, right? Like they were like the best in their class. So like for that entire set, it's difficult. But like I'm trying to like zoom into that set now. There's this group of people that maybe they used to be the best students in class, and all of a sudden now finding themselves in this space where they're always below average. They really like before, where you probably didn't need to read so much to understand stuff. Now you need to spend like hours and hours reading. I would say this: you are not the problem. You are in a space now that is understandably like much tougher. It's understandably like much more challenging. But remember the person you used to be, and then try and tap into that. And then I promise you that you could actually achieve that thing that seems impossible, or you might need to kind of fight that imposter syndrome. And then it's very difficult because I think I have gone through it. It's very difficult because you're seeing the person you used to be. You know, like, oh, I never struggled in class. Things are always very easy for me, and now it seems like I've lost it. You've not lost it. I promise you, it's still there. It's still there. You just need to remember who that person is, and then work hard enough to bring that person back. And trust me, you'll be amazed at the things that you can do.
That was so inspiring.
I mean, not everybody though. I mean,